Juventus has made direct contact with Manchester United over the signing of Jadon Sancho. Eric Ten Hag has still insisted he's not good enough to be in his squad, as he's expected still to leave him out of the team that will play against Brighton in our next game. Welcome to the United Sport. My name is Webb, here to talk Man United again and try to understand what exactly is still going on between these two, who really have got their little fight going on clearly. Now, I know that we do recall that at the start of the season, Ineos called a truce meeting, and Eric Ten Hag and Jadon Sancho, of course, spoke about a couple of things. And I mean, after it, we saw Jadon Sancho smiling, really, returning into training at Carrington. Remember, towards the end of last season, he had been banished from the club. Now, I remember coming here and telling you guys, don't be fooled by it. It was never burying the hatchet. They never buried the hatchet. They still felt, the same way about each other. Sancho not regarding Eric Ten Hag at all. Neither did the boss himself regard him. And Sancho probably was hoping that Eric Ten Hag would not be given a contract extension by Ineos. But the moment it happened, you do recall all the things he said. I mean, it was always, I think, a case of one ending. He was always going to be forced out. But what they discussed in that meeting was them to find ways of helping the player get another club to move on, because he was a big player, top earner, and banishing him completely would not help anyone, not the player, not Man United. In any case, maybe the player, if he didn't really care about his career, he would be earning free money because he's on almost £150,000 per week. But he was never going to play again for United. So what do? Let him come back into the squad, train, be fit as you wait for buyers, because he can only be bought if he's seen playing and looking fit. So that's why he was let back into the training, and during preseason he was used. But at the start of the season, Eric Ten Hag still, I think, in his heart of hearts, doesn't feel it that he should be putting him in games. So that's exactly what's happening. Now remember, United value Jadon Sancho at about 40 million quid. That's how much they want. We know that PSG would have wanted to sign him, most probably on loan. They still seem to be interested. We know that Chelsea are linked with a move for him. Remember, he's a winger, and Chelsea do want a winger. But now, Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that it is Juventus who are the first to make direct contact with Man United in the recent days over a possible signing of Jadon Sancho. So, what is clear is that Sancho is leaving Man United. Chances, I think, are more than 70% in the next days, the next weeks. That's all people involved are pushing for Sancho to move on. The terms might be permanent or long terms, but that's the whole plan, for Sancho to be moving on. I told you, for me, before we let go of Mason Greenwood, I said it, that for me, bringing back Sancho is worse than bringing back Greenwood, because his mentality and attitude around that squad, more so when Eric Ten Hag is still there, would not work in any way. And that's what I think we're beginning to see. They just don't think he's really he's going to come and have his head up and play for United again. But even for him, it's the best thing for him to do, to move on. So we are hoping that more bids will come in. I think one of the first departures will be him. Maybe his deal might be a little complicated, but I think it can still be figured out. We are hoping for a bid for Scott McTominay as well to come in the coming days. And at the very worst, it could be next summer. At the very worst, if we are able to get Manuel Ugarte on loan, probably next summer is when some of these players will move, the likes of Casemiro himself. Then I just wanted to talk about briefly about Mason Greenwood. I mean, and I know that he's not a United player anymore. Some of you won't be bothered. Well, I am. I'm still attached to him. Not that I think he will come back and play for Man United. Clearly, he won't. But he's an academy boy. He's a player who was unjustly sent out or forced out of the club. So what is the latest about Mason Greenwood is that he has officially requested the FA to allow him to deregister him as a an English player, as he's going to try now to change his allegiances to Jamaica. Isn't that amazing? So this boy is completely giving up on England, and I mean, he's moving on with his life because he knows he will never play for England again. And I don't think it's a shock. I don't think it's really a huge surprise. I think it's something you would have expected, considering how he was, dubbed the mother of all devils, or probably the last remaining son of all devils. I mean, The way they treated him is like he's not British no more. And I mean, he has chosen to find life again at Olympic Marseille, whereas English media are still trying to push an agenda that's inexistent. I've seen an article from Daily Mail trying to explain how Mason Greenwood has torn his arrival at Olympic Marseille, tore up or split the fan base into two. Nonsense, absolute nonsense. They will still go all the way from UK to try and poke their nose into matters in France, to try and steer, frustrate the young boy. I mean, just how bad can these people be? But anyhow, the boy is also saying I'm untangling, and he's trying. He's looking now to he has even the Jamaican Federation itself has actually, after having conversations with him, they have actually, sent the official request to the FA with his green light to allow him now to be officially a Jamaican footballer. So I feel for me that's good. I think it's a good thing. I think I mean, that's moving on. It's sad that Jamaica may not have the clubs to to get to his levels. I mean, France is not so far from the UK. He would have loved probably to move on to and go to Jamaica and play for a club in Jamaica if they could afford him. But that said, it's what's happened. But I think it's good to say that he's trying to move on with his life. He's still a top baller. He's destroying teams in France. I mean, that's for me an amazing thing. So that's an update I wanted to give you about Mason Greenwood. In case you want to hear about him, and if you don't, I mean that's up to you. But for me, I still felt it's an important update to get. But also in terms of departures, going back to the departures, where of course we are hoping Sancho will be the next. We know that more players have left. Will Fish has left Man United, and he has left Man United for £1 million. That's what I think we are going to be getting for Will Fish. Now, of course, that's not a lot of money. Many will say it's not. Definitely, clearly, obviously, it's not a lot of money. But he's leaving. Pelistri left. We know that was confirmed. So several players leaving Man United, and yeah, it's where we are now. It's where we are losing some of the young players, but it's sad that the would be big players, the senior players are not leaving. The senior players who want to go. Sancho could be the next, but we feel there should be more senior players leaving Man United to make way for the more senior ones to come in. So but yeah, that's what's going on. That's a little update. So don't expect to see Jadon Sancho soon, but expect him to move. I think in the coming days, he should be the most immediate major departure. I mean, before Eriksen and the likes, I think Sancho they are working on something for Sancho to leave, either on a permanent. Maybe not. No one will give us the 40 million quid now, but in the future, maybe loan with an obligation to buy a structure can be figured out. That's what is being worked on. My name is Webb. This is the Netero Sport. I will be back tomorrow morning, rather later, with the preview of the game Man United against Brighton. An important game, of course. It's a tough one. Always, I mean, the new boss guy who bossed the game against Everton in his first game in the Premier League should be a headache, but not one that Man United won't deal with. I'll come here with my pre-boss starting 11 and everything else United.